Hey, so for the watch along later on tonight, I know we were talking about doing Nacho Libre, but I'm kind of like feeling like maybe we should go back and watch The Blind Side. It's been a while.
Ooh.
What is going on, everyone? We are the Cinefanatics. This is the tagline. It is the show where the tagline is the title. It is Wednesday night. My name is Robert Adams.
My name is Chris Adams, and I have just one thing to say. Leave Sandra Bullock alone.
It wasn't her fault. She didn't do anything.
She didn't do nothing.
You know, it's always great when you start the show with the rant. It creates the level for how the show's going to go, the energy and everything. The vibe is already set right off the bat, and I absolutely love that.
Listen, I'm all for freedom of speech, but I'm starting to think that people need to take like some kind of intelligence test in order to use the internet, like we take a driver's test in order to drive a car.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Since I've worked like primarily like customer service jobs, almost every job I've ever worked at, I feel like people need to take a test to be a customer of where I'm employed at.
Right.
Whether it's like right now, there's a staggering amount of people out there that don't know anything about car insurance, and they keep it to themselves. They're not out here in the public world telling people that, because all I get is calls all day. I don't know what I'm doing. So
Correct.
You don't. Anyways, beside the point here. Anyways, YouTube things. Y'all know how this goes. Y'all got questions, comments, issues, complaints. Streamlabs.com/Cinefanatics is a good way to get our attention. And Patreon.com/Cinefanatics. If you feel like we are worthy of your support and you have the means to support us, please hop on the tier that is good for you. There's only two tiers, $1 and $5. $1 gets you Discord access. $5 gets you access to all of our hangouts that we are doing. Like tonight, after the tagline is over, we will be doing our monthly Patreon movie watch along tonight. It is the Jared Hess classic. No, not Napoleon Dynamite. His other one, Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
Chris, what's the first name of this title?
The first word in the title?
Sure.
Nacho.
You had to take a breath in there, and then you kind of just turned into Mario on that like last edge.
It wasn't a breath. I just had to like dig deeper just to get the last little bit out.
You had to decrescendo a bit and reach deep down, and
it's weird that turned into Mario when talking about a movie starring Bowser.
Yeah. Anyways, so yes, that will be tonight. So yes, if you would like to join us, hop on that $5 tier and come join us on the Discord. That will be roughly at about, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern tonight. So I believe it is streaming on Amazon Prime. So come watch it. I've never seen it before, so this will be a first time watch for me. So,
oh yeah, finally I get him to watch this movie.
Yeah. I see in the chat, hello, Brennen. And I also see Garth McMurray. It's Nacho Libre. It's my Libre.
Nachos.
Oh, Nacho. Okay. I'm thinking like Libre as in like books or liberty or whatever.
It's not Joe Libre. It's my Libre.
My Libre. Yeah, I got it. I feel like Dr. Mike doing all those reactions to like TikTok where it's like puns and he just doesn't get them. It takes a minute and you see like the circuits. Yeah. Yeah. He does that all the time.
It's funny because it's not your Libre. It's my Libre. It's not Joe Libre.
That being said, nachos do sound fantastic right now.
Nachos do sound good.
It's been a while. It's been a minute since I've had nachos.
We need to start doing, when we do our watch-alongs, we need to start pairing a movie with a food. Putting out a recipe, and then everybody participate in the watch-along. If you have the means to do so, make the recipe, and we all share the same food together. We all break bread together with a paired movie. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Maybe I could do a quick like YouTube short of like how to actually put all the food together.
You know, like some people do like a movie and a drink.
Yeah. Therefore, scratching my I want to cook itch.
See, what we would have tonight is we would have nachos with black beans on them.
That works. Now, I don't know. Do nachos actually play into this movie at all?
There's corn chips at one point, but no.
Okay. Yeah, because I know Napoleon Dynamite did involve nachos. That was like apparently between nachos and tater tots, that was like Napoleon's main source of sustenance.
Quesadilla?
Is it quesadilla? No, okay, yeah, he does make a dang quesadilla, doesn't he?
Make yourself a dang quesadilla, yeah.
Yeah, I think at one point he does have to make nachos also. So, yeah, I forgot about the quesadilla. Anyways, what else do we got going on? So we got the watch along tonight, August 30th, Wednesday, August 30th. After the tagline, that will be our monthly trivia hangout. So again, if you are at the $5 tier on our Patreon, after tagline, again, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern, we will be doing our trivia hangout. It's going to be general trivia this month, so it's not specific to a director or actor, any one particular theme. It's just random ass movie questions.
You like movies? You like answering questions about movies? That's the one for you.
That will be it. Yeah. Upcoming shows, real quick. So tomorrow will be Blue Beetle. We will be going to see Blue Beetle tomorrow. Here's hoping all the reviews that we're starting to hear are actually true. And
hey, did you hear that Tom Cruise saw this and said it was the movie of the summer to go see?
How much did Tom Cruise get paid?
How much did Tom Cruise smoke?
He can't promote his movie, but is there anything stopping him from promoting a movie that he has nothing to do with?
I legitimately think it was a joke that I saw online, because I feel like he said that he actually did say that about The Flash. He said that he was excited to go see Barbie and Oppenheimer. Obviously, he had a movie this summer to promote. So he's just been hyping up all the movies that have been coming out this summer. Basically, Tom Cruise has been Mr. Movie lately.
He's like popcorn. The movie hype man.
Movies and popcorn.
I love how he does that while Nicole Kidman still has like the corner marketed on hyping up AMC theaters specifically.
Heartbreak does feel good in a place like this.
Yeah, because every time we've gone to our one AMC here, just it is heartbreak.
It's absolutely heartbreaking.
What was it like? We went to go see. What was the last movie I saw? Avatar? I think it was Taught to Me, because I saw Taught to Me a week ago, right before tagline last week. And I remember sitting in that theater looking like it was the Alamo Drafthouse. So, of course, they got like the tables and stuff set up. And I remember thinking back to the movie theater we had like back in the 90s. Like in Round Rock, we had that Movies 8, or Pflugerville had that Movies 12. And I'm remembering specifically what those theater rooms look like. And it is such a joke now when you look at movie theater rooms and how big and expansive and recliners and tables, and how that's just like the norm now for a lot of these movie theaters.
Serve me an actual meal. I don't want just popcorn anymore.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I like popcorn. I just don't like how the shells and everything get in my teeth and gums and stuff. And I don't like picking them out for the rest of my evening. So,
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we're doing Blue Beetle. Apparently Tom Cruise loves it.
Yeah, so we'll see if we like it as well. I don't have high hopes for this, but this is one of those that I am open-minded enough that I just want a movie to surprise me. I want to go into a movie with very low expectations, and it just is a fun movie. That's what I'm hoping for out of this. So expectations are low, hopes are high.
I expect that Blue Beetle will completely revitalize the DCU, and it will breathe fresh life into it, and everybody will be hyped for the DC movies as much as they were for Marvel back during Phase 1 through Phase 3.
Okay, some people's hopes might be a little too high. They're not all springing eternal over here. So.
And I absolutely want Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider to show up at some point.
It's the wrong comic book company, but okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about Secret War.
Okay. What are we doing?
Have you seen that? I made a tweet about this. It's been blowing up because our lovely guest that we had last week, Sean Chandler, has hopped on there and is having great conversation with folks on there. But yeah, apparently people are just getting crazy with their expectations for Kang Dynasty and Secret War. They need to relax.
Yeah, I'm still in the process right now. I'm holding off like any kind of thoughts or expectations until we find out exactly what's going on with Jonathan Majors, court case wise, because I feel like that's going to be like the pivotal thing. If it turns out bad in his case, that is going to cause Marvel to have to pivot, and I don't know how hard of a pivot that's going to be. So I have no expectations for anything involving Kang right now.
So that, and how well does Deadpool 3 do?
That too. Anyways, so Blue Beetle review may be up tomorrow night, or I might. I think what I'm wanting to do is pivot to doing the reviews on Friday instead of coming home from a movie, having to film the review, and then quickly try to crank out editing like a 20-minute long review that our reviews typically tend to be. Because that just takes all of my night. While it would be nice to
until Friday anyway.
Yeah, and most people probably don't watch till Friday, so it'd be nice to kind of spread that out and not just cram everything all in one night. So that's what I think I might do. We'll still do like the out of the theater reaction, but yeah, I think we might save the actual review till like Friday. Other thing coming up is the marquee for this month. Since it was his birthday last Saturday, the marquee is a treasure trove of movies that aren't necessarily his favorites, but they are movies that he likes. And we will be tier ranking those.
I am he. Yeah, no, they're not movies that are necessarily falling in my top 10 or 15 in this case, but they are movies that I absolutely enjoy and maybe just don't talk about enough or mention every so often. Mm-hmm. It's basically just encouraging you guys to watch a set of movies that I handpicked. That way you can also tier rank with us during the marquee.
Yeah. So if you want to know what those movies are, if you want to watch them as well, because that will be a marquee where it's just the two of us, which means you, the loyal viewer in the chat, get to vote. If you would like to know what movies those are, so you could possibly watch any of them before the marquee on, the marquee's on August 25th at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, join the Patreon. Even at the $1 tier, you get access to the Discord. The list of movies that we are tier ranking are on the marquee channel on our Discord right now. So, yeah, hop on the Patreon. Come join us for that. Check out those movies. Watch some new movies potentially. And, yeah, vote in the chat live on the 25th for the marquee. Chris, we did not get you last week. Or we got you last week. You just happened to look like Sean Chandler, which was amazing. I don't know how you did that, but cool.
I'm a good impressionist.
But yeah, I mean, really fun conversation last week. So
I really practiced learning how to talk about movies way too much.
Yeah, I think you did a good job. So since you weren't actually here last week, we didn't get to hear if you caught up with any new movies. Have you watched any new movies over the past 2 weeks?
I've been a busy boy.
Yes, you have been.
I've watched one movie lately, and it was Chicago. I hadn't caught up with Chicago before, so watch Chicago
and all that jazz
and all that jazz, you know. And I love Catherine Zeta-Jones even more now, and oddly Richard Gere too.
Yeah, not to mention Renee Zellweger or Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah's fantastic in that movie.
She's good in that movie.
But anyways, so over this past week, I watched Public Enemies, which is a Michael Mann movie. We will be talking about Michael Mann here again pretty soon. I also watched Cobweb. I don't know why you stuck Cobweb on your marquee list, but no. So Cobweb surprisingly is available for viewing at home. It was like on rentable like on YouTube for like $6.99. So it's not like one of these big like $19.99 or $29.99 VOD rentals right now. But it's a nice breezy movie. It's very self-contained. I thought it felt very much like an episode of The Twilight Zone. It had kind of like almost a fairy tale type element to it. So I think it was very well done. There were some parts where it was just kind of a bit slow, but yeah, I thought it was good, and I agree with like the hype. A lot of people are like, "This is one of the best horror movies of this year." I would put it up there.
Here's the question for all those playing at home who may be like me: is Cobweb a movie for me or not a movie for me? Really, is there any graphic gore in it?
There's somewhat of gore, but it's mainly like off screen for the most part. Like one person gets pulled under a piece of furniture by this evil entity, and you don't see anything happen to them, but you do see like a spray of blood shoot out from underneath this furniture.
I've seen blood.
So it's stuff like that.
But there's no like graphic any kind of like,
I don't think there's
those are insides. What are they doing outside?
Yeah, I don't remember anything like super graphic like that. If there is anything graphic, it's probably like a very quick like shot. Kind of like the stereotypical, you're familiar with the what's her face from Final Destination that gets hit by the bus. They also did it to Rachel McAdams, Regina in Mean Girls. Just the real quick standing there and all of a sudden bus hits them and they're gone. It would be something like that. Like maybe someone's head gets stomped and it's just a real quick stomp and the camera cuts away and you have like a half a second to react and you're like, oh, okay. Like something like that, maybe. But
interesting.
Yeah, I wonder
if I'd like it.
It's an interesting movie. So
it's more like psychological thriller than anything else.
Yes. I think I've also said I compare it to Malignant, only not as gory and not as big in scope. It is very, very self-contained to like this house that they all live in, with a couple of shots of the school that the kid goes to. That's roughly about it. Pretty much this whole movie just takes place at their house.
Interesting.
So, anyways, let's get into some movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is what's happening in your world tonight.
We apologize for the interruption.
Back to you.
How's that box office looking?
It's so weird that we are 4 weeks into a world where I don't have to click the Barbie Watch intro anymore.
Yeah.
There's now been 4 taglines that have passed that I've not had to click the Barbie Watch intro. Well, maybe 3. We did it for the last one, right? For the first week.
I can't remember.
No, we didn't. We did it before it came out. Anyway, let's talk about the box office, guys. All this talk about Barbie. Guess what's number 1?
Barbie.
Still. For 4 weeks in a row.
It's
Barbie.
doing good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 36% down from last week, which, like 4 weeks in, you're like, oh man, it's petering out. No, it made $33.8 million this last week, or this weekend. So it's currently sitting at a current, well, actually, let me click on it because that's not actually the accurate number. The current total domestic number for it is 537 million.
Domestically?
Yeah, it is cleared half a billion domestically. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah, I think they said it's over like 1.2 worldwide now. 1.2 billion.
The number I'm looking at is right under 1.2 billion. It will be 1.2 billion by the time we're done with this show.
Yeah. It also, I saw a report that it is officially Warner Brothers' highest grossing movie of all time. It just beat The Dark Knight.
Ooh,
so
really?
I don't know how many people remember, or if this was just me, but when The Dark Knight came out, I was keeping track of that week after week just to see like how long are those legs on The Dark Knight, and that movie stayed at the top of the box office for like a couple of months. I think the only thing I've seen that lasts longer than that was like Titanic or Avatar.
Right. So yeah, I mean that's pretty impressive that Barbie's top The Dark Knight. I'm looking at for this year. Right now, it still has yet to pass the Super Mario Brothers movie worldwide, which the Super Mario Brothers movie is also sitting at around $500 million domestically too, almost 600 million. Worldwide though, Mario is currently at 1.3 billion.
So it'll beat it.
So it'll beat its total run. I mean, Barbie again is about 150 million away from passing Mario. So another,
Worldwide, it may. I don't know if it will do it after this coming weekend.
I don't know either. Because, Barbie's 660 billion, 600 million international. So just the international numbers. So in 4 weeks, yeah, I would say give it another 2 weeks. Give it about another 2 weeks worldwide. I could see it beating Mario by that point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to do it in the next week, but it will do it. Barbie will be our highest grossing movie of the year, and I don't think anything's going to pass it. I don't think there's anything else coming out this year, moved or not moved, that's going to pass Barbie at this point.
Oh, come on. Aquaman 2 has
Absolutely not.
No chance in hell.
Absolutely not. The closest other thing I think that could come out this year if it hasn't moved yet would be Dune 2. Dune 2 would be the closest thing to being able to beat Barbie. But that's even then, I don't know. I don't know that it'll even get close to $1 billion.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Like the next outliers that I think could possibly help would be
Marvels.
Like the Scorsese's movie.
Scorsese's movie is not going to hit $1 billion.
The Wonka movie.
Nope.
Or what was the other one I was
Marvels.
thinking of?
The Marvels is probably the next closest one too. Just because Captain Marvel did hit $1 billion, but it hit $1 billion between Infinity War and Endgame. So we'll see if the Marvels can actually replicate that in any way.
Color Purple.
I don't
think they're going to hit $1 billion, but I think they're going to be up there, like on some movies that probably have like a lot of positive word of mouth and probably do pretty well in the box office.
I could see the Marvels being the highest grosser for Marvel this year, but it's got to be Guardians of the Galaxy for that. That's about it, though.
Review-wise, I don't know if I see it beating Guardians. Guardians was good.
But we'll see. We'll see what they do. If it's just a ton of fun, then possibly. Yeah. Interesting enough, I feel like I made this prediction before. I don't know if I did it on show because I know I wasn't here last week for the show. But obviously we had Meg 2, The Trench, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles opened up last week. Mm-hmm. or opened up the weekend before last show. And so I didn't get to talk about those two being in the box office or what they were opening at. But I did make the prediction. I did feel like I made the prediction that while Meg 2 did open up pretty high in the box office, I think it opened up at number 2. And then Ninja Turtles, I think, was number 4. Oppenheimer being number 3. I felt like it's a pretty solid case that Meg 2, with bad word of mouth, is going to fall down the ranks pretty quickly, in which case it's either going to get overtaken by Oppenheimer, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or both. And in that regard, it was taken over by both. Oppenheimer is back in the number 2 spot. So Barbie, Oppenheimer, once again at the top of the box office after both being in the theater for 4 weeks. Pretty stellar. Oppenheimer's numbers is currently at 653 million worldwide. So I don't know if that movie hits $1 billion worldwide in its total run. I don't think so. I think it's going to start slowing down here too. Mm-hmm. I think it'll probably get to 8.5, 850 million, I think, in its total run, probably. That's what I'm thinking. But that's not bad. That's not bad for another Nolan movie. The man knows how to work a box office, it seems. Number 3 spot, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. made another $15 million this last weekend. Number 4 spot, Meg 2, The Trench. Things not doing too well. I think that thing's going to fall off the top 10 pretty quick.
I'm wondering, though, so we were talking about it last week, and Sean pointed out that it is also doing a lot of big numbers overseas.
Oh, yeah, it's not a domestic release at all.
That the movie was marketed to the U.S. as a Jason Statham vehicle, and then was advertised to like China, whoever the other I can't remember his name, but the other actor in that movie, and that like both the advertising seemed like American advertising focused on Jason Statham, the Chinese advertising focused on that actor, and that it was doing really well overseas because of that actor. Like he's like the Tom Cruise that just brings butts in the seats.
That, and it's also, again, it's technically a monster movie, and monster movies sell big kaiju monster movies sell well overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, domestically, it's at $57.5 million, so that's not a whole lot. But international numbers are 204.
Yeah,
so the international market is the one that's basically paying for this movie.
So they love their actor more than we here in America love Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Which would make sense since he's actually British. So I wonder if he's...
So he was British?
He was British.
Oh, God. Number 5 is a new release this week, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, opening to $6.5 million. Number 6 is Haunted Mansion. That thing's only been out for 3 weeks, and it's already at number 6. That's very unfortunate. Number 7 is Talk to Me, which bumped up from its number 8 spot.
You're welcome.
Good. It's all
because I went to go see it.
It's all because of you. Number 8 is Sound of Freedom. Number 9, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, and number 10, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah. Anyways, so interesting thing about Barbie still being number 1, and like let's say, so this week we're looking at Blue Beetles coming out, and I believe also Strays. I believe Strays and Blue Beetle come out this week.
Is Strays WB?
I can't remember.
Blue Beetle is, which means that we got 2 Warner Brothers movies kind of fighting for box office.
Yeah. So we've got those. I doubt Blue Beetle or Strays are going to beat Barbie. But what's weird is with Barbie still run her dominance of the box office, that they just announced when it releases digitally for like video on demand, which is going to be on September 5th. I don't know why you would like go ahead and push for VOD when it's still doing so well in the movie theater.
At this point for them, I wouldn't announce a VOD on Barbie until it hits 5th place in the box office.
Yeah.
But that also could be a while. So
yeah, again, I'm not expecting Strays or Blue Beetle to beat it. So
no, I do think
it turns out to be a good movie.
I do think my prediction is going to be Barbie's going to stay at number 1, but Blue Beetle will probably take number 2.
Oppenheimer will drop.
Oppenheimer will be number 3. Ninja Turtles number 4.
Strays maybe number 5.
Strays, which has been advertised for quite a few months. Like we've known this movie's coming for quite a while. So Strays will be up there, and then it'll be Meg.
Which the thing with Strays, there's a couple of jokes in the trailer and commercials that I thought were funny. Like when they eat the mushrooms and they're tripping, they're like, I feel weird. Maybe it's my human hands. Like
they turn into puppets or cartoon characters.
Yeah. I thought that was funny, but otherwise, I'm like, okay, it's another one of those movies where we're taking like something random and we're going to make them curse.
We're taking something innocent and giving it curse words.
Yeah. So, like those movies, they're kind of funny, but I think that's a kind of an idea I believe that only works good for like maybe a small YouTube video, like one particular scenario where all of a sudden all the animals start cursing, and that's funny. But
it's
I can't
like
see a full movie.
It's like Homeward Bound if the animals needed to have their mouths washed out with soap.
Yeah. Well, like that movie Good Boys that had Jacob Tremblay in it.
Yeah.
It was an okay movie. It had an okay premise, but yeah, it was basically like little kids like cursing all over the place, which is weird because not to compare it to something like South Park, that's been its bread and butter ever since South Park came out in 1996, 1997, something like that.
Old.
Yeah. The South Park, the movie Bigger, Longer, Uncut came out in 97. So it had already been a TV show long enough for them to like, yeah, let's do a movie.
There's no way that came out in 97. That had to have been like 99 or 2000.
No, it was like 90. I believe it was 97.
There's no shot that was 97.
South Park, the movie, 1999. Okay, well, I was wrong.
That's what I thought. I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
The TV show came out in 97, and then they made the movie in 99. Either way, South Park is a product of the 90s.
Yeah.
We all feel old now. You're welcome. But yeah, I mean, that's been like their bread and butter, but South Park has also done like commentary, social commentary, political commentary, just commentary about anything whatsoever on top of that, which I don't think Strays is necessarily doing that. I think they're just really a bunch of dogs that are cussing all over the place, and that's about it. So,
side note, this is why you and I would make a great team for movie trivia, because I have this mindset of if I remember when it came out, if I remember that movie coming out, if I have some recollection, if I dig back into my memories of that movie existing in a movie theater in a time period that I remember, it's probably after 1997. Except for Aladdin. But that's a core memory.
Well, that would be good if we were a team on some movie trivia. Too bad there's not a movie trivia show that we could actually test that with. So,
hey. Maybe someday someone will make one.
Be nice.
Anyway, what's next?
The only other thing, really, other than talking about the main topic, just a couple of updates on the strikes. It does look like over this past week there was another meeting of the Writers Guild and the AMPTP, and basically they came to the table, rehashed a couple of things. It does sound like while there wasn't anything like moving forward, there were a couple of signs of stuff starting to bend. Like AMPTP apparently agreed to a demand from the WGA that writers, human writers, are the only ones allowed to be credited in movies. There will be no credits for any kind of script that was written by an AI. Basically, so therefore we're not diminishing the amount of work that an actual human being added to the project, they created for the project. We don't need to be crediting AI or giving like, hey, that was a good movie, it was done by an AI. No, just we don't need to be crediting computers with this. If a human being spent the time and energy to sit down and think up of a story or a line or something, we need to be crediting them and making sure that they get acknowledged for what they add to a project. So that was one thing. It does look like they were also in talks about like how the streaming residuals are going to work out. They said the biggest issue with that one right now is because a lot of your major streamers, specifically like Netflix, their original content, those numbers are not publicized like a movie that is released in the theaters. Netflix holds all the rights to those. We, as an outside audience who doesn't work for Netflix or is not privy to those internal numbers, we can guess if something's doing well. Like I think everyone and their mom understands that Stranger Things is a fantastic show on Netflix. Everybody loves Stranger Things, the two of us included. So that is a big show. We understand it's a big show. We understand that it does gangbuster numbers for Netflix. What we don't know is what the actual numbers are. And that's the thing is, like, even though we can understand if our project's doing well or not doing well, we don't know what the actual numbers are coming out. And that's the thing is, like, Netflix executives are able to see those numbers. And then when it comes time to like, hey, are we going to pay residuals out to all these people that worked on this? Yeah, let's not bother with that. They don't know the numbers, so they don't know what we're hiding or what we're actually seeing. So let's not bother with all that. And that's a problem.
I think at some point, listen, this is my not being a part of that world necessarily, and knowing how the business side of all that works. Nor am I a lawyer and really knowing all the legal ins and outs. But I feel like at some point there's something shady and illegal going on, wherein if things are set up a certain way, then you have to be clear and upfront about the numbers so that people are paid what they owe, like a company, basically. If somebody went into work, if an employee went into work who is on a wage, and for some reason they weren't able to keep track of the number of hours they worked, only the company could, they would have to trust the company's word that they are getting paid the amount for the number of hours that they worked. And the company could be like, even though they worked 40 hours, the company could be like, nah, you only worked 24 this week, so here's your money. And that is where I feel like this is wrong. Like, obviously in this situation, it's a little bit different because the actors, the writers, the people involved, they don't have a means of keeping track of the actual like numbers that the company isn't publicizing. But the company does have those numbers, and there is a monetary value to those numbers. And if the company is not paying out for those numbers as they should, then I feel like it's the same kind of shady, illegal type of, or at least it should be kind of illegal type of maneuvering that the company's doing there. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily flat out call it illegal yet. I think it's just more of there's no transparency in it, and there's nothing that the writers, the actors, or anyone involved in creating that content, there's nothing that they can hold on to and hold, like in this case, Netflix accountable for.
Much like that's what needs to change. Yeah.
Much like your clocking in and out scenario you give. I clock in and out at work. I can see my time card.
Yeah.
I can calculate my own hours. And if they're not correct on my paycheck, I can go to my employer and go, hey, this is your system that I clocked in and out on.
That is the difference between what I brought up, but I'm going from like a hypothetical world where the employee for some reason somehow can't keep track of their hours, even though if you can do basic math, you can understand your hours. If for some reason they weren't able to do that and had to trust the company to make sure that they were being paid out exactly, that's kind of what's happening here.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so like in a movie like say Barbie, we can see how much money the Barbie movie is making. We have an idea. The general public has an idea, like, I guess, what the estimated budget is. I don't know if we're still just hearing an estimated budget or if they've confirmed what the budget for the Barbie movie was.
Mm-hmm.
But then we hear things like afterwards, like, what kind of a deal did Margot Robbie make? Apparently, that was something in the news this past week as well, that she signed a deal. Very likely that kind of a movie with that kind of an actor in it, she very likely probably took like a percentage of the movie profits rather than getting paid up front. Like, hey, I'll be in your movie, pay me $50 million. And regardless of how the movie does, you're paying me $50 million.
That's it. It was about 50. She got about $50 million. I don't know if that's so far or what, but
I mean, I don't know if she has like any kind of a back end deal on like a percentage of profits from the movie. Like that was something that Jack Nicholson famously did for the '89 Batman. He took top billing and took a percentage of how much the movie made. And he did pretty well on that.
The other question too, that I don't know if I've ever heard anyone bring up at all, when we're talking about the strikes and we're talking about people making money, from streaming and everything, is if a deal goes down between SAG and the WGA and the AMPTP, is there a world where that deal? I mean, I think the studios argued then for the deal being from that point forward and not retroactive with everything that's already out there, or is it one of those situations where we're going to pay you for the stuff that is on the service currently from this point forward, but we're not paying from this point before based on viewing numbers. You understand what I'm saying? Like, let's say Friends. Let's say Friends has been on HBO Max or whatever for a little while. Everybody gets their money from Friends from the moment the deal goes forward.
Instead of retroactively. Yeah.
But they're not going to get paid for all the numbers of views that Friends has gotten on that service since it hit the service.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if that's the case, then you are looking at a situation where the studios could go bankrupt really quickly, because that's a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows that they would have to back pay on, and that would be a lot of money. Like, obviously everyone deserves that, but at the same time, we do want to be able to keep making movies and shows.
Yeah. So to tie that one kind of back into like what I do, as far as like, say, the auto insurance things, I get people all the time. They're calling up because they got a crack on their windshield because the vehicle like in front of them just accidentally threw a rock up and it cracked their windshield.
Yeah.
And I get people all the time like, well, that's not my fault. I didn't throw the rock up. It's like, well, understand, the person who did throw the rock up, they don't realize that they threw a rock up. They're busy driving. They don't know that their vehicle is throwing rocks. Just like your vehicle is probably throwing rocks at someone else. You're not liable for those either. Same kind of like an idea. Like, you're just not liable for stuff that could happen like that without actually knowing.
Yeah. So, I think what I just brought up, it's got to be a situation where it is from the moment the deal is struck on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I would assume going forward, especially because then if not, you're talking about some of these like older shows. Like, is Netflix or Max or someone streaming old episodes of the Andy Griffith Show? Because now we got to start paying out those residuals to like Andy Griffith and Don Knotts' estate, and Ron Howard's gonna get a fat check all of a sudden out of nowhere. Like, so yeah, I don't think it's feasible to do like beforehand. But at the same time, look at like, was it The Office? The Office was on Netflix for a long time, and that was one of the big reasons people signed up onto Netflix, is because they could stream all of The Office whenever they want. And then The Office switched over to Peacock, and people moved over to Peacock, some sort of. But like something like that, if there's a big popular show that came out on that platform, right when it first comes out on that platform is when those residuals are going to be high. Right now, there probably isn't as big of a need to go like binge watch all of The Office as there was when it was first on Netflix.
It's also just an evergreen show, though. People will always be putting it on no matter what.
That might have been a bad example because of that. Like, just people always love The Office. So, but yeah, like I think for a lot of the shows, or I would say more for like original shows, like Orange is the New Black on Netflix. That one was popular when it first came out. Right now, there aren't as many people going back and watching those episodes again compared to when it was first released. So they're losing out on that residual money right now, and it's going to be even lower by the time a deal gets made.
The other thing I wanted to say on the meetings right now between the WGA, SAG, and AMPTP is that obviously we're seeing like some news coming out through various publications, news outlets, all that online on Twitter and all that. But the one thing that folks in these unions want to be very clear about is that unless you hear that news coming from the actual unions themselves, unless you hear WGA talking about deals that they're making with the AMPTP, unless you hear from SAG about deals they're making with the AMPTP, unless you hear it from the unions themselves, you take it with a grain of salt and you don't read too deeply into it. Because a lot of the studios out there are parent companies to news outlets. And so through the grapevine, they're going to be doing anything they can to put out a story that shows these studios are trying their hardest. And for some reason, those darn writers and those darn actors out there just aren't willing to strike a deal with us. It's their fault that the strikes are still going on. So you have to be very careful when you hear some of this news about deals potentially being made, because we all understand, we all stand firm on the idea that the writers and the actors get what they are asking for, because they are not asking for a lot. And if the strikes are still going on, it's because the studios aren't agreeing to giving the writers and the actors the not a lot that they're asking for.
Yeah.
So that's one thing they wanted to be very clear about. I saw these tweets, and I made sure to retweet some of them too. Tweets. I don't know if we're still calling them those, but anyway, that's the one big thing too. We hear these talks about them having met on a Friday before, last Friday or the Friday before that or whatever. And we hear rumors of them meeting again in some capacity. But unless we hear like the WGA and SAG saying we feel satisfied with this outcome from this meeting, something to that effect, no, we are still behind the people putting in the blood, sweat, and tears and the work to actually create the entertainment.
Yeah. The only other one that I saw in regards to strike stuff that I thought was interesting is it was announced that the cast of Ferrari, this Ferrari biopic that Michael Mann directed, they are allowed to promote it because it is produced by Neon, which is not a major studio, so therefore it doesn't fall under the banner of the AMPTP.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably see a little bit more of that. Like, I know A24 is also an independent that doesn't fall under AMPTP. So stuff that like A24 produces, we could see the cast promoting those. Yeah, so that one's going to be good because Ferrari has a pretty big cast. They had like Adam Driver, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a big cast for that. That's going to be a good movie that needs that promotion, especially in a year right now where we have a lot of like biopics coming out. Whether it was like the Air Jordans or Tetris or BlackBerry, the Flaming Hot Cheetos. Now we got this one about Ferrari, which I feel like it's probably going to be pretty close to the same vein as House of Gucci that we got, only without the weird Jared Leto makeup.
Also with Adam Driver.
Yeah. So, yeah, that should be interesting to see that. What I'm curious about, though, is the way promotions work for, like, festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know, famously, the SAG strike officially went into effect right when the Oppenheimer premiere was. So, after everyone walked the red carpet, all the actors left.
They bounced.
They didn't stay to help promote the movie because the strike was officially on. They weren't allowed to promote that work anymore.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like festivals and promoting movies, I don't know how that's going to be. I'm bringing that up specifically because our main topic tonight is yesterday they revealed the lineup for the Fantastic Fest Film Festival here in Austin, Texas. Typically, there's only like 4 major film festivals, I believe. So you've got what's the
you got
Robert
Sundance,
Redford.
you got
Sundance, Cons, TIFF, and what's the other one?
The Venice.
The which one?
Venice.
Yeah, Venice Film Festival. And then you have like little ones like, say,
South
here
by.
in Austin, we've got South by Southwest does a film festival. We also have Fantastic Fest, which was done by Alamo Drafthouse. Fantastic Fest last year, I'm super jealous that I didn't get to go to that because they did the premieres of Terrifier 2, of the Hellraiser remake. They premiered Smile, all of which were horror movies, but they also did like the premiere of Banshees of Inisherin, which would have been great to go see with like the cast and the director and everyone there.
Yeah.
So because of how good last year was, I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and try to jump on this. So I do have a pass for Fantastic Fest this year. Me and Sean were talking about that, or Sean and I were talking about that on Tagline last week. They had not released the list of movies yet. Now they have. And I know, so like a lot of the movies I said for like last year, primarily Hellraiser, Terrifier 2, and they also did a surprise screening of Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
And those were all like surprise. Like you didn't necessarily know that those were going to be premiering. There's probably going to be some this year, and that's the ones that I'm thinking are going to be like Saw X is probably going to premiere as a surprise screening. Five Nights at Freddy's is probably going to be a surprise screening, I'm willing to bet. This new Exorcist movie is probably going to be a surprise screening, I wouldn't doubt. But typically Fantastic Fest, while it does seem to cater to a lot of horror and sci-fi, it's just more of just overall like indie genre movies as a whole. There's a lot, like looking over the list this year, there's a lot of foreign movies in there. And there also seems to be a lot of movies that seem to be firmly rooted in the 80s. Like either they take place in the 80s or they've got the feel or vibe from the 80s.
Like a Stranger Things type situation.
Very much so. And I love that.
Alamo Drafthouse does that a lot. A lot of their aesthetic sometimes lends into that synthwave 80s type look.
Mm-hmm. And I love it. So looking over like the list of movies that they have here, just a couple of things that I saw were kind of like outliers. Obviously, the big one as of right now that they have officially said is the opening night movie is going to be the remake of The Toxic Avenger. So those of y'all that like trauma movies, Toxic Avenger was like their main like icon, kind of like Spider-Man is for Marvel or Superman is for DC. Toxic Avenger is Trauma's flagship character. They're doing a remake. We talked about this, I believe, like way back when we first started the tagline when the pandemic was starting. They had casted Peter Dinklage to play Toxie, the Toxic Avenger, and I was like, okay, that's definitely a choice. William Harrell, why would they remake a perfect movie? I don't know.
Your scientists were still too preoccupied with whether or not they could. They didn't stop to ask themselves whether or not they should.
Well, the thing about this, though, is while the original was like just a little indie movie made by Troma, this is more of a big budget movie that stars like Peter Dinklage, Jacob Tremblay is in this, Elijah Wood, Kevin Bacon, Jane Levy. Like there's some good actors in this. It is directed by Macon Blair, which I know a lot of people probably don't know who he is. He was in Oppenheimer. He had a bit part in Oppenheimer. He was one of the guys that was in the room, the part of the room that they were questioning Oppenheimer. That had what's his face was the lead guy in that room, Jason Clarke. Mm-hmm. So Macon Blair was like right across the table from Jason Clarke in Oppenheimer. So small role, but I've seen him pop up in a couple of things here and there. Like I've been a fan of like his kind of work since he did what was it, like Monster Party, I believe, like some indie movie way back when. Anyways, that's the big major movie so far that has been announced. So Toxic Avenger is the one I'm looking forward to probably the most. There's also The Creator. Is it The Creator, I believe?
Yeah. It's the John David Washington movie that's coming out, very sci-fi looking.
Yes. I don't know why I don't see it on this list, but yes. So that one is getting its premiere at Fantastic Fest, which that's going to be fun.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Gareth Edwards. So it's a Gareth Edwards co-written, directed movie. So that one should be good as well. So that I'm looking forward to. There's a couple others in here. Oh, I mean, I kind of want to go through some of these, but like there's such indie movies that I really don't know anything about them. Apparently there's
funny because it's one of those situations where you have no idea what's going to take off the rest of the year. All these movies are going to sneak in here. They're going to get such great word of mouth from this.
Yeah.
And they're going to blow up, and they're going to be ones to watch going into like even Oscar season.
Well, like last year with Banshees of Inisherin, I probably would have heard of this and I've been like, oh, okay, there's that movie. I don't want to watch that. And then I probably would have been the person that's kicking myself later. Like, this movie is fantastic. It was one of my favorite movies I had to watch leading up to Oscar season. So yeah, I probably would have kicked myself because I didn't go see it. You and I went to South by that one year, 2019 or so, and there were movies that premiered at South by that we were kicking ourselves for not going to. Especially, what was that one, the Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron movie?
Yeah.
Where they had, the movie itself had a cameo by Boyz II Men, but the actual premiere of the movie at South by had Boyz II Men put on an impromptu concert. And I was like, I would have loved to have seen Boyz II Men in concert at a movie premiere like that. Like, that would be great.
You ended up going to like The Curse of La Llorona or something like that instead, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it was like one of those you had to pick between two big releases of some sort.
Whether it was either The Curse of La Llorona or that Pet Sematary remake, which neither one of those were worth whatever other movie I could have gone to see instead. Pet Sematary, speaking of which, they are premiering I guess like a prequel to Pet Sematary at Fantastic Fest this year, which again, I don't have high hopes for that. So there's a movie about Joker, like another Joker movie, which I don't understand how this one's actually going to get made. It's about the Joker, but it's like a drag queen parody. So I don't know if it falls under like a parody movie, kind of like the Scary Movies or Disaster Movie or something like that. But yeah, it's called The People's Joker, so that looks weird. There's just some like really odd movies. The other one I did want to mention that I think sounds fantastic, and I don't know, I can't remember the name of it. Let me see if I could find it. It's supposed to be closing out Fantastic Fest. Oh, I cannot remember what it's called. It is, it's Killer something. It is, so basically it sounds like Totally Killer. There it is. Let me find what.
Killer's Little Flower Moon.
No. So this one sounds interesting. So this one is coming out on Amazon Prime and is produced by Blumhouse. So it's being released like at the beginning of October. So like another week or two after it premieres at Fantastic Fest. It's a horror comedy. It says 35 years after the shocking murder of 3 teens, the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns on Halloween night to claim a 4th victim. 17-year-old Jayne ignores her overprotective mom's warning and comes to face with the masked maniac on the run for her life. Accidentally time travels back to 1987, the year of the original killings. Forced to navigate the unfamiliar and outrageous culture of the 1980s, Jayne teams up with her teen mom to take down the killer once and for all before she's stuck in the past forever. That sounds fantastic. It's a time travel. There's a younger mom element, and then of course 80s. So I'm looking forward to that. That sounds like that's going to be good. So that's called Totally Killer, which I'm guessing it has to be said as like the 80s. That's Totally Killer. So.
Totally. Sick rad.
That's the exact plot of Halloween Ends. I mean, kind of. She got sued for the Joker movie, but won the court case. That's why I'm thinking that this would technically fall under parody. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's
starring Tasha Yar.
It sounds like Fantastic Fest is going to be a fun time.
So far, yeah. So I do know, as like we were talking with Sean last week, Sean Chandler, of course, is going to be there. Cody Leach is also going to be there. He's someone who talks about horror movies on his YouTube channel. So it's going to be fun getting to meet them. Couple other people, very likely. There's another VHS movie that's being released. It's a horror anthology series. And I believe Scott Derrickson is actually directing one of the segments. So very likely Scott Derrickson is going to be there, as well as Mike Flanagan, who's got a TV show that is premiering there as well. I think it's like House of, what's it called? The Fall of the House of Usher. So Mike Flanagan is probably going to be there as well. So
go give Scotty my regards for Doctor Strange.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It sounds like it's going to be interesting. Again, I'm kind of thinking about doing some kind of like a vlog type of thing where I just film like just what it's like around in that environment. So that might be fun. But yeah, we'll talk probably more about Fantastic Fest as it gets closer, and like especially if we find out what other movies may be surprise screenings. We might not actually know those till we're like physically sitting in a seat and the movie just starts playing on the screen. So anyways, that is it for tonight. Unless there was something else.
I think that's it. Not a whole lot this time around.
Yeah, Fantastic Fest is making a mistake if they don't have the MCU. So the funny thing about that is apparently when they premiered Werewolf by Night last year, a lot of people were upset because Fantastic Fest is meant to highlight like your indie genre type of movies, not really a place for your big budget studio releases. Like even the big movies like Terrifier 2, Hellraiser, Smile, like those were all still like indie made movies. But apparently the people in attendance for Werewolf by Night were not happy to see a big budget Disney Marvel thing put on the big screen for them to view. They were wanting more indie stuff, even though the idea is it is a genre film, because the Werewolf by Night was a throwback to the Universal monster yesteryears in looks and style and story. So it fits. I think it fits in with what Fantastic Fest was trying to do. It's just it happened to be made by Disney and Marvel. So
I wonder if you're gonna have some of the same backlash from the creator being premiered there this time around.
Well, the thing with that though is if that was going to cause backlash, I believe we would already be hearing about that right now.
Maybe
because since that movie was already announced, Werewolf by Night was a surprise screening. So like apparently when they announced it while everyone was sitting in the theater and they put it up on the screen, we're about to watch Werewolf by Night, and everyone's like, boo. So
and then of course the other reason why you wouldn't see Fantastic Four at Fantastic Fest is because Marvel can do well on their own premiering their movies on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
They usually don't. I don't think they usually premiere any of their movies at any festival ever.
For like word of mouth, no, they don't need that.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night made a little bit more sense because it was going to be a Disney Plus release, and it's not really like a full-fledged feature film. It was more of like a short, essentially.
Most people don't know anything about, like, people know who Iron Man and Hulk and Captain America are. No one knows who Werewolf by Night is. I'm a comic book lover, and I really didn't know that much about Werewolf by Night. So,
yeah, I will be interested to see if any of those characters actually stretch out outside of Werewolf by Night at some point.
Yeah, especially Man-Thing. The way they made Man-Thing looks was so good in that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yeah, so that is going to do it for Tagline tonight. Again, if you are on the Patreon, come join us here in roughly about 55 minutes or so. We will be in our Discord, and we will be watching tonight Nacho Libre. You do it better than I do. I'm not even about to try, but yeah, we will be watching Nacho Libre. It is my first time watching this movie. I've never seen it, so come stop by. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. So come stop by and hang out, watch a movie with us. That should be a lot of fun. All you have to do is sign up at the $5 tier. $5 and you get to hang out with us. And there's also trivia at the end of this month on August 30th. So that will be our general trivia hangout. Come hang out. I'll have some questions for you. It should be a good time at then also. Otherwise, yeah, again, Blue Beetle review should be up either late tomorrow night or probably more likely Friday during the day. There will be an out-of-theater reaction for Blue Beetle from us tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. The marquee is on August 25th. That is Chris's picks of movies. So hop on the Discord, go look at the marquee channel on the Discord, see the movies that we got listed to be a part of that marquee, watch whatever is gaps in your viewing, and then come join us for the marquee on the 25th, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. You get to vote live in the chat, so help sway the vote on there. Because there's a lot of these. I don't know exactly where I would want to put it yet.
And if any of y'all vote F tier for any of them, I will have your heads.
Something has to go F tier. So,
I mean, it has to. But the key here is that we're putting everything in S and stuff is just bumping down. We're not putting anything into F. It's just something that's just going to fall to that.
I will be putting stuff into F.
I'm going to have heads. Heads will roll.
And I like my heads. Wait. Anyways, so otherwise, I think that is it. So hopefully we see a bunch of y'all here in a little bit in the Discord for the watch along. Otherwise, yeah, follow us at the Cinefanatics on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me personally at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, also youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP.
You follow me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP. And we keep saying Twitter. Y'all know what we mean.
Hey, it's still Twitter on my phone. That the icon has not changed to whatever stupid X thing.
I see a little bird right there.
Yeah.
So I see a little bird right there. It's Twitter.
Yep, it is Twitter. So anyways, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank y'all for watching. We will see y'all later. Good evening.
Bye.